It's been a decade now since BMW MotoDeal introduced the iconic RNineT, and with the all-new R1290 set to come out a little bit later this year, we thought it would be interesting to check out the outgoing model. Two different variants with two very different characters. So today we find out the pros and cons of these two models, how it stacks up against the rest of the retro segment, and to find out if it's still worth your hard-earned money. That's happening in this episode of Beyond the Ride. First up, let's talk about the price. The BMW R90 starts at 1,065,000 Philippine pesos, and that is the Pure, which we reviewed about 2 years ago, and it was actually a little bit more affordable back then, below 1 million. Now, that's a little bit above what we expected it to be for the base model, which is again the Pure. This right here is the Classic, and that over there is the Scrambler, which is a little bit more expensive than the Pure. Now, the closest competitor price-wise would be the Triumph Speed Twin, which is a little bit more affordable at 1,035,000 Philippine pesos. Now, you'll be spending a little bit more for other variants, as I mentioned, like the Scrambler, which is 1,185,000 Philippine pesos, and the R90 Special, which comes in at 1,385,000 Philippine pesos. Now, at one point, at least in my head, all motorcyclists were in one of three different categories: the off-road motocross guys, the bearded cruisers, or the leathered up speed demons on sport bikes. And then the Ducati Scramblers came into the scene, and it seemed like a lot of the cool kids had one of those bikes. They were a little bit more approachable, and it seemed a little bit more lifestyle oriented. Now, the people on the Ducati Scramblers graduated to something a little bit more, well, with a bigger displacement, something that was a little bit more refined, and that's when the BMW R90 took the motorcycling world by storm, especially here in the Philippines. Now, one of the biggest draws about the R90 is the customization of it. You can definitely personalize the bike to your liking. And at one point, the Makina Moto show of Zach, all the bikes were actually R90s. At least that's what it seemed like. And when people would customize the bikes, they would typically make them into a bunch of different styles, like the flat tracker, the desert sled, a full-on cafe racer, and whatever this is. So let's find out if these bikes are still worth your hard-earned money with some pros and cons. Let's start with the pros, and perhaps the thing that stands out the most in the BMW R90, the Boxer Twin. Now, that's a little debatable. There are people that don't like it. I personally think it's a pretty good engine to have. It's got 110 horsepower, 116 newton meters of torque, and it's very usable in anywhere in the rev range. It's actually very easy to ride, and it does stick out a lot, and that's where some people don't like about the bike. They complain that they can't lean it too much, but the truth is you can actually lean it a lot. It's just that you can't go sport bike lean on the R90s. But I don't see that as a problem at all. I actually like the character of the Boxer Twin. You know, that little shake when you start out the bike and when you're on the traffic and you start revving it just a little bit in the traffic light. I like it. I think it's a pretty good engine, and it does also, when you look at the bike in different angles, it's very unique, right? I mean, it's only BMW uses these type of engines, and they use it on this and of course the GS as well. And even though it makes more sense on the GS, I suppose, I actually like it on the R90. Another thing about the R90 that stands out, well, the shaft, right? It's shaft driven, which means less maintenance, direct power. Yes, it does add a little bit more weight to the bike, but honestly, that for me, it's a good trade-off because I like it. I like that it has that whole system there. I like the single-sided swing arm as well, as far as the aesthetics go. And speaking of aesthetics, I just love the way the bike looks. I mean, I still think it's a very good-looking machine. Yes, it's not as classic as, let's say, a T120, but it does have a lot more, you know, it does stand out a little bit more, right? The T120 looks like a classic bike, a retro bike, and that's the way these bikes have looked for so long. There's really nothing that kind of looks like the R90 from back in the day, right? So it's a little bit more unique in that sense, and I appreciate that about the bike. And even today, you know, the bike is 10 years old, it still stands out, right? It still will draw stares, it will draw attention to the bike. I mean, the bike has been seen in Hollywood movies, with Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible from, time and time again. And it's just something that is unique to the BMW R90 as far as the look of the bike is concerned. And I like it. I really, really do. I mean, it's the bike for me, still one of the better looking bikes out there. Now, earlier I talked about the aftermarket, the customization of the bike, and to expound on that a little bit more, if, let's say, you purchased a Scrambler, and then you got tired of the Scrambler after a year or so, you don't really need to purchase another bike. You can just customize it and make it not a Scrambler. Remember, 10 years on the market means that the aftermarket is ripe with options. If you want to know the wildest story of R90 customization, we have a friend who had a bike that started out as a Scrambler. Towards the end of its term with the previous owner, it turned into something more of a cafe racer. And you can pretty much turn this bike into anything that you want. Whether you want to change the tank, swap out the foot pegs, change the wheels, or even swap the handlebars, if you can dream it up, it's probably doable on an R90. R90s are very versatile. These two variants right here, as I mentioned a while ago, very different type of motorcycles. The Scrambler, more off-road oriented, something that has the capability of going light off-road, not too hardcore off-road, but something that you can take off the beaten track. Whereas the R90, this is actually just called the R90, no sub name for the bike, more road-oriented, actually my preference between the two bikes. Now, this is something that leans towards more my preference. It's something that I would use on the daily even, and something that I would take up here to Marilake quite often. It does handle the corners much, much better than the Scrambler does. And it also has, well, both bikes have good passing power because the torque is really available everywhere in the rev range, and that makes for good passing power. That makes for, the bike, if you just want to cruise along, it's happy to do that. If you want to push a little bit more, especially with this bike, it's happy to do that as well. And with this bike right here at the street legal speed, I want to add, you can keep up with other bikes, like other nakeds out there, or even some sport bikes, not all sport bikes, but even some sport bikes, you can keep up with them with this particular variant of the R90. Now, depending on what type of rider you are, of course, if you're more off-road oriented, well, the Scrambler is probably going to be your choice. And if you're more on-road oriented, well, the R90 would probably be your cup of tea. But not just the R90, you also have the Pure, that's very similar to that one as well. So let's talk about some of the cons. Well, the lack of a quick shifter and slipper clutch, for me, at least as a con. Jack actually prefers it without a slipper clutch and without a quick shifter. I don't know why. I mean, he likes it like that. Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you have the option to put a quick shifter on the bike, I would do so. I mean, I kept looking for it a while ago and it just wasn't there. But it's something that you can probably put on the bike anyway if you choose to. Now, I did say I do like the boxer engine, and I do. But it also could be a little bit of a negative when you're filtering in traffic because, well, it is quite wide. Even though your handlebars are probably, and the side mirrors are probably the measurement that you have to follow when you're filtering, the boxer engine does get in the way sometimes in certain situations. So it's just something to watch out for if you're filtering. You have to be a little bit more careful. Also, because it is air-cooled, it will get a little warm in heavy Manila traffic. So something else that's on the more negative side is that, well, the price of the bike has increased through the years, at least the SRP has. The original price of the R90s, the base model, started back in the day in the 800,000 Philippine peso range. Now it's over 1 million, and that's a big price gap. And you can't really fault BMW Philippines for that, because that's kind of the pricing that they have to go with because of the increase and other financial factors around the world. I mean, we're talking about exchange rate, we're talking about the cost of importation, and so on and so forth. So it's something that through the years, if this still was priced in the 800,000 peso range, I think it's a no-brainer. But because it's over 1 million now, it's something that I probably have to think about harder a little bit more. So since we're talking about cons, we may as well nitpick a little bit about the Scrambler variant. It's not great on road. Partly because of the tires. I mean, you just change the tires, it'll be much, much better. But because it's stock tires, and we have to talk about the bike in its stock form, the tires for me, on-road, not the best. And it's also not going to excel off-road. I mean, yes, it's going to be better than the normal RNineT and the Pure and the other variants off-road, but if you're talking about off-road and the type of bikes and the competition that the bike has, we're talking about, of course, the Triumph Scrambler XE. That's better off-road than this. We're also probably going to talk about the Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. That's better off-road than this. But there's something about this bike that's, it's got a little bit more charm than the others. Now, if you're talking about the competition in the premium category for the BMW RNineT, you're probably looking at the Triumph Bonnevilles. Now, the Thruxton of the Bonnevilles, which is going to be the last one of the Thruxton Bonnevilles is going to be out this year. That would be very similar to the Cafe Racer of the BMW RNineT. But for the rest of the RNineT variants, I would say that the Speed Twin is probably going to be the biggest competition in terms of power and basically everything about both bikes. It's very comparable. Now, compared to the Speed Twin, the BMW feels a little bit more substantial. Don't get us wrong. The build quality isn't what we're knocking here. It's actually the scale of the whole thing. This has an 18-liter tank. It's massive. The Boxer engine, well, that's massive as well. Frankly, if you are just going for the wow factor, the RNineT Classic has a lot of that going for it. But is it better? Well, the Speed Twin, having ridden that bike as well, I'm a little bit more used to that. It's a little bit more conventional. It's something that people are used to seeing on the road a little bit more. The RNineT, well, it's a little bit more of a head turner. People will compliment the bike, this bike more than the Speed Twin because, well, it's just a little bit more unique looking. So, in conclusion, let's get rid of all the specs and the numbers, including the price tag. Because riding these type of bikes, it's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's not just about speed or off-road capability, because there are other neo-retros out there that are faster than the BMW RNineT or more off-road capable as well. It's about the sensation that you feel when you're on this bike. As they say, the GS is for miles, the RNineT is for smiles. And I agree with that statement 100%. There are no other neo-retros out there that has a Boxer engine that rumbles the way the RNineT does. And because of that, it's kind of in a class of its own. And if I had the extra cash, and especially because this is going to be a classic because BMW is not going to be making these bikes anymore, I'd get one. I really would. I'd love to have this as part of my collection. I just have to find an extra XXX million pesos in order to purchase one of these future classics. So this leads us back to the question I asked in the very beginning of this video. Should you purchase a BMW RNineT in 2024? Well, think about it this way. When the R1290 comes into the market later on this year, there's probably going to be a significant price drop of these models. So perhaps you can wait for that time. Now, for more information about these bikes and other MCs out there, log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. This has been Gene Rufino. Hope you guys enjoyed going beyond the ride.